Think back. Remember.
No, I don't want to.
Remember the terrible creature you brought upon us. The crimes you committed against humanity.
No, I can't.
Remember. Now.
Oh, why does he look like that? Why does he move like that? Why? Oh no. But I didn't know anything about Blender. It's not my fault.
Ignorance is not an excuse. Remember how you created this creature. How you made him out of separate meshes so all of them would get separated if you moved them. How the terrible way you UV unwrapped him made it impossible to texture paint him. How your incomprehension of the amount of faces and the option called Shade Smooth made the creature look terribly blocky and ugly. And how your terrible animation skills made him move like a stick figure.
Okay, I get it. I'll fix it. I'll make everything right. So, to prove that I can do better, and to return order to the world after I brought this thing into it, I will spend 24 hours to become a master at Blender. Yeah, 24 hours seems reasonable. First 2 hours, creating the awful version of the mascot character. This was done in the previous video, go watch that. But now that we have that recap out of the way, I am tackling the classic first Blender project, the one that everyone does, creating a donut. Alright, let's see here, Blender tutorial. Yeah, another one looks decent, but let's see if we can find it. Oh, 6.7 million views. That's it, that's the one. It took me about 2 hours, but I learned about subdivision modifiers, the shade smooth option, and how to make detailed edits to a mesh. The result of these 2 hours is this basic looking donut. I then started working on the texture paint part. Which is my favorite thing ever. Oh, I love texture painting. Oh, it's always so much fun. An all glaze, wow, that word has just been completely ruined by modern slang. I can't even say it anymore. An all glaze and no sprinkles donut looks bizarrely naked. So I added some little white ball sprinkles to it. But I don't think I've ever seen a pink donut with little spherical sprinkles. So it's time to add normal sprinkles to it. I finished that relatively quickly. Well, here it is. Take note of every sprinkle, different size, different rotation, just like real life. Notice how the light slightly reflects off of the surface in a way that's perfectly realistic. How the base of the donut is not perfectly round, but slightly misshapen, as would be the case in real life. Now, you might be a bit surprised when I reveal this to you, but it was real all along. In all seriousness though, here's the final result. But I realized that I don't really care for education. I'd rather just get started with actually making something. So I jumped right into my first model. For some reason though, maybe some Dark Souls PTSD came out. I decided on making a low poly mimic. I chose low poly because I'm still kinda garbage at Blender. It turned out pretty well, I'd say. The donut tutorial gave me a slight introduction to sculpting, but I want to give something more complex a shot. Yeah, I should not have given that a shot. I had not learned my lesson though, so I made this pea shooter, which might be a hint for our next video. The pea shooter looks a bit crappy though, so I guess it's education time again, yay. I found a tutorial for sculpting a head model. I followed it as closely as I could, and I honestly felt like I learned a lot. Look how nice the head looks. So why does mine look like this? Okay, so I guess the head is a bit too complicated for me at the moment. Therefore, I picked the next best, the obvious choice, a hand. Because hands are so notoriously simple to make. I seem to have gotten a bit better though. The back of the hand looks quite nice, pretty realistic, well, in a unrealistic, realistic way. But the other side of the hand, it's a bit mid. But I'm pretty much a sculpting expert now, so I think it's about time I learn how to make a decent environment. Yeah, we don't really talk about that part. I spent 2 hours making this forest-like area, only for it to be literally impossible for me to render because it kept crashing. If anyone's wondering, I'm still rocking a 1060. I wanted to experiment a bit with lighting, so I decided to make another low poly model, this time a sword, which took me way too long for how mediocre it turned out to be. I tried to render the project, but the shadows were bad and kind of blotchy, so I started messing around with some settings that I don't fully understand. I changed the render engine and increased the amount of samples, and that seemed to fix it. Alright, the time has arrived. I will finally redeem myself for the awful model I made last time. To showcase my improvement, I'll make a final product that can be directly compared to something I made last time. This turned out to be an animation involving the same mascot character I used back then. Why do I keep insisting on animating? I'll never know. I'll never figure it out. Well, before I can get to the self-inflicted torture that is animating, I need a model. The last one was ugly, so I am completely changing my process. The problem here, though, is that my process for creating a full-body model that's supposed to be able to move is completely based on a static head model tutorial that I watched, which, isn't all that transferable. So after struggling for 3 whole hours, I had created this. It's not too bad if I do say so myself. But now we get to the real challenge. Once again, texture painting. It was a massive catastrophe last time. Even the pea shooter did not look great, so I was quite nervous. And rightfully so. At first I ended up with this, but then after some changes like reducing the amount of faces and marking some seams, I got a proper UV map with something that I did not have last time. Coloring seemed to go relatively well now. Then I made the executive decision to put the model into this program called AutoRig. No, not AutoRig, past me. AccuRig. I made this decision for 2 reasons. 1, I did it last time, so it's easier to compare the quality of the model if I do it this time as well. And 2, I'm kinda lazy. But see for yourself, the difference in the results, it's quite obvious, I would say. Okay, so I need a setting for the animation. I decided on not spending too much time on it and just making a dark hallway. Now the last few hours are fully spent on animating. It was a bit of a struggle, but I had some experience with making crappy animations mainly from the 2 last videos. So I hope to be able to utilize that to make a slightly less crappy animation. Unfortunately, 2.5 hours is just not enough time to make a detailed animation. So I had to rush through it, literally making up what will happen next while I'm animating. So here's the result. Yeah, I added some sound effects to it. Was that any better?
Yes, the elder gods have been appeased, for now. But maybe actually finish the tutorial next time.